Welcome back to Next Normal, second session of today with a very intriguing discussion, which is allow natural language processing to automate your content and customer engagement. I think we will certainly touch a field which is not so frequently discussed, but I really expect a lot because we really have some four great experts who are joining this panel. From my left to the right, we have first of all Giacomo Porzio, the founder of Hintello. Hi, Giacomo, how are you?
Hello, hi everybody. Hi Dario, thanks for having us. All good here.
Fantastic. We have Kinshuk Saxena from Novartis. Very same question. How are you,
Great.
Kinshuk?
Thank you for having us here on this panel. Very interested and excited about this.
Fantastic. And we have Julien Pahud from Lilly, who I hope will also join us very soon. He's having some small technical issues, but I suppose he will be very soon together with us. And last but not least, Gunjan Aggarwal from Novartis. Gunjan, very same question to you. How are you?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me for this panel. Very excited and looking forward for it.
Fantastic. So let's deep dive into the discussion. Giacomo prepared some very interesting slides, so I will share the screen and Giacomo will set the stage for us for the discussion. Giacomo, the stage is all yours. You're muted.
Thanks a lot, Dario. Can you hear me fine?
Yes. Fantastic.
So I just prepared a slide to set up the stage for the discussion on one of the ways where natural language processing can help pharma. And one great application, I think, is content tagging. Last week I was in Madrid for the Viva Commercial Summit, and content tagging was really a hot topic there as well. And I can clearly understand why content tagging is a great topic, because it allows so many use cases. I've put in this slide the 6 main ones, and I would like to get Kinshuk and Gunjan and Julien's hopefully as well point of view if he manages to join on what it is for them. But from my perspective, content tagging allows these 6 main things. So first of all, fragment description. So to describe and characterize modules of content by adding metadata. And this can be done both at looking at text, images, videos. It's a way of describing the content in terms of what it is it talking about. It allows search of content. So if you attach metadata to content, you make it searchable. And thus, through search, you can even potentially reuse the content. And of course, reusing the content across franchises or across markets increases the ROI on content production and allows to achieve great savings. Content monitoring, of course, if you match the tags for the content with the interactions down the line with customers, you can basically enable the monitoring of what content and which kind of topics are shared or discussed with the customers. The next step in this journey is the profiling of customers by interest or by journey of content. And this is, it's getting into what we do at Intel, which is the last piece of all this journey. But we also help our clients across all of the journey in the next best engagement automation. So if you have a compelling content tagging strategy and technology, you can build the next best engagement and next best action automation, not just on frequency of interactions or channel propensity, but also on content relevance and which content the customer likes on which channel and what the company is actually willing to propose to the customer as a next best content. Let me stop here.
Thanks a lot, Giacomo. Thanks a lot for setting the stage. I believe the discussion, as already mentioned, will be very interesting. And let's deep dive into the particular one. And question for everyone, which is, from your point of view, what advantages do you see in content tagging? And do you in particular have some own experience in your own organizations when it comes to content tagging? Gunjan, I would like to start with you.
Yeah, thanks, Dario. See, in one of the sessions yesterday in the Next Pharma, there was a statement that it's not a next best action, it's mainly the next best customer engagement. It should be more customer centric. When we talk about customer centricity, it's very important to understand what our customers are looking for and how we can provide them the right content at the right time and with the right channel. And that is where the modular content, the content reuse plays a role. Because if you look at the universe of the healthcare professionals and the content which gets generated, the more you divide into modular content and enable it, it helps them in serving the patients better. This slide is very good and it talks about what all needs to be done. If I have to add few points on how it has to be done, one very important is the universal taxonomy. So across all the channels, when you talk about rep triggered engagement, third-party emails, home office, your social media, web, online activities, all that, if you target the content in a modular format to enable the next best action for your customers, it's also very important to have a same language across channel. Because if a efficacy page on one will be called on the separate, you'll not be able to understand what exactly the customer is looking for.
Thanks a lot, Gunjan. We'll last you for a couple of seconds. Gunjan, can you hear us? Okay, let's wait for her. In meantime, Kinshuk, same question for you.
I think the more important or broader question here from my perspective is, as Giacomo showed in his slide, it's a progression from an organization's perspective into a more of a nascent stage to a more advanced stage when they can actually showcase the content to the right provider at the right time and in the right format, right? And so what we have seen, and the broader question that I mentioned is, how have organizations, in particular pharma organizations, progressed in terms of their maturity in addressing some of the challenges, or just going along the journey that it is from a content tagging perspective. Also, if you see, from just tagging the content to cleaning up the data, tagging the content to the right parts, and then delivering the content in the right setting. And I feel most of the pharma organizations have come a long way in their journey in terms of doing that. As of now, it's not an if question, as in do we have to get into this business or not. It's more of like how and when and with what efficiency can we do this, and how rapidly can we do this. And I think some of the challenges that Gunjan was mentioning was around universal language, for example. And I feel like some of these are just examples of technical challenges that the organizations are now trying to figure a way around. But more importantly, what they're realizing is it's a journey, and as an organization, to progress along the journey, they continuously have to focus on the right abilities and the right skill sets and the right people and the right teams in order to enable moving from one stage of the journey to another. And I think that's the most important observations from a strategy point of view that I have observed with respect to organizations.
Thank you, Kinshuk. I see that Gunjan also returned. We are still at the very same question, so we collected your interesting insights. Next question for you, Giacomo. I'm very curious to hear where do pharma companies stand on content tagging from your perspective, because you have this helicopter overview of what they are currently doing.
Yes.
What does Intel offer regarding content tagging in particular?
So let's start from the first question. Where do pharma companies stand? I think from what Gunjan and Kinshuk said, but also from our observatory, a lot of pharma are now looking into content tagging, and they are working on to have some level of content tagging defined. But I would like to stress once more what Gunjan was saying before about and also Kinshuk, about the journey and the universal taxonomy. So it is important that, first of all, the goals are set for the pharma. So the objectives of the content tagging are set. It shouldn't just be content tagging for content tagging itself. It should be for a purpose. And there should be a vision, which is to build a data-driven decision-making and content strategy for the customers. So a lot of pharma are starting to confront with content tagging. Some are engaging with vendors, some are working on them internally. Very often there are projects that are, either outsourced or dealt internally about content tagging. In terms of what we do, we are the first, I would say, one of the first vendors to have a product which allows content tagging. And the good thing about our product is that, one, it leverages both machine learning, so automated tagging. You don't have to do anything, just review if you want and approve the tags generated by machine learning. but also combines the possibility to tag manually. It allows to set a governance of tagging. So how are you going to tag? How are you going to manage the taxonomy? Who's going to distinguish between the needs of having a standard and consistent taxonomy across all markets by also allowing some flexibility at the local level? So we took all of our years of expertise in this field to put everything into a product that combines all of these aspects. So we have machine learning tags, we have manual tags. We allow to define a global standardized taxonomy which is consistent across markets and channels. We allow for localization of the taxonomy in a way which is not impacting in a negative way the overall global one. And this content tagging is also linked to the interactions and the next best engagement in our product suite. So we are having some very good traction, I have to say, on the product. With some customers we are already live, and the first feedbacks. It's a very new product. We launched it this year, basically, but we have very, very promising results so far.
Thanks a lot, Giacomo. Kinshuk, let's start with you this time with a question. In addition to facilitating the creation, search, and reuse of content tagging could be very useful for characterizing customer profiles. Do you agree? And do you have some particular examples of that?
Yeah, I think it is definitely an important consideration. Again, I would go back to what Giacomo was mentioning just about the vision. What is it that the organization's vision is in terms of achieving with content tagging? What is their vision in terms of content tagging, and how do they plan to achieve their vision? I think that's the most important thing. Once they set up their vision, what we have seen the best organizations do is, in terms of success, they probably do some sort of a pilot with a smaller group or a smaller brand, and then they end up scaling that pilot after doing the necessary due diligence and fixing some of the challenges that would inevitably come. And that's kind of the path that most organizations take towards slowly expanding their capabilities and experimenting with these content tagging capabilities.
Thanks a lot, Kinshuk. Gunjan, very same question for you.
Definitely, Dario. I believe that the content affinity, the content our customers are consuming, drives their behavior and help us in creating that persona. If you look at, even as an individual, what we Google, what we search on various social media channels shows our interest. What exactly the movement of the truth we are. Similarly, in the same pattern, when you design the customer 360, for in any pharma organization, content affinity is very important characteristic. And the advantage of tagging content is bringing that visibility of that data, important data, to our field force and various other sales specialists. Because otherwise, the information gathered is always how many calls done, how many email campaign clicks, which is very quantitative in nature. But content adds that flavor, what exactly they are searching. When they click, what they like about it. It helps us in the good data strategy, campaign strategy, and the next best action. And I also like to add, Dario, the first question, the earlier question which you asked is about what is the maturity of a pharma in the content side. Actually, it has various parts. If you look at content, it is structured, unstructured. In unstructured, definitely there is a lot of work needs to be done. There are unstructured notes which has to be captured and added into the design of the right content. And when we talk about the structured content, by what channel we are collecting it, what is the breadth and depth, every organization is in a different journey, and even their approach are different. So what's more important is where we wanted to go, what works for that organization, and what should be the steps towards it has to be designed. That roadmap has to be designed, not just jumping that if we do modular content, it will solve all the purpose.
Yep. And I'd like to just add to what Gunjan mentioned. Gunjan alluded to structured and unstructured content, right? So I think that's a major challenge that all organizations currently face. And just access to data and uniform access to data is sort of a related challenge. And I think what we've seen in terms of just best practices across organizations is that organizations that have a separate data a sort of group that has a mandate on access to data and can uniformly access data across all different groups, and thereby have some sort of access to structured and unstructured content across different functions. That's probably the best in terms of how this can be successful, because one of the major challenges that happens is you might have good access in some part of the organization, but you might have challenges in accessing data in the other part of the organization. And then what it does is you cannot put the whole picture together, what the customer cares about, whether it's whether we talk about customer affinities or data affinities. Ultimately, it's about using machine learning and AI to prepare that sort of uniform picture and then delivering it to the customer at the right amount of time or the right point in time. And I think that requires access to different groups and uniform data access to different groups, and then aggregating and then collating and allowing AI to do its thing over time. It just organizationally speaking, it helps if there's a direct connection between the data organization, which has a mandate and direct line to the leadership, and that can give that access so that some of the challenges that organizations face in putting that picture together can be solved.
Thanks a lot, Kinshuk. Giacomo, anything else to add?
I think this has all very well been said. I would like to stress the governance part, which is part of the organization. It's a matter of vision, as we discussed, and it's a matter of setting up processes and the right governance to make sure that it is effective.
Thanks a lot. Next question, and I start this time with you, Kinshuk. Is we see pharma sometimes really tries to develop some skills, even some technological advanced ones, in-house. What do you think are the pros and cons when you develop such tools in-house compared to outsource it to some other external experts and create a clear and strong partnership?
Yeah, but that's a very good question, Dario. And what I would say is that because this area is so new, the challenge here is really around getting the right skill set and having the right skill set available with the right experience. So for example, if I talk about specifics, if you're looking for, let's say, data engineering talent, right? And data engineering talent, you're looking not just for data engineering talent, but data engineering talent with experience in a healthcare setting. And that's extremely difficult to get. And that's why there is a challenge when it comes to organizations trying to develop these capabilities in-house. And the solution that we have observed most works is sort of a hybrid approach. And that hybrid approach basically means that one, you find the talent where it is located. So you have to be geographically more dispersed. You cannot just say that I'm going to look at talent in this geography versus geography. You have to go where the talent is. And that allows you to be more flexible. Second thing is that it helps to leverage vendors who have the right capabilities. And since this is so cutting edge in so many terms, it helps to have vendors with the right set of capabilities that can bring fresh and evolving perspectives into the organization around how things should be structured and how problems should be approached. And that's the second part. And I think I'll end with this. The third really important part is, over time, the strategy that companies should follow is developing some of that talent in-house through vendor support. And that's something that needs time, because you might end up hiring some data talent that does not have healthcare background to start with, but has the basic skill set, and then you train them in a healthcare setting. And with vendor support and with other resources, you can over time achieve some economies of scale and also develop that in-house talent. I think it's always a complement to what the vendors can do and not a competition necessarily to use vendors in this space, especially because this is such a dynamic and evolving field.
That's right. Gunjan?
Yeah, I agree with Kinshuk. I would go for the hybrid approach. So first is, if you talk about universal taxonomy, making that taxonomy, it can be a very long process for the organization. But if you go for an hybrid approach and bring a vendor who has done in the past, who understand the various content across the channels, it can bring that speed. So that's where the bringing a vendor can be helpful. Second, in the pharma, there are divisions about there is a spoke for each channel who is responsible for it. But what we need a overarching person who can build an end-to-end journey, and that is where either we can have that person in-house who has the experience, who bring that customer experience journeys, or we can have it from the vendor who knows what should be the path look forward, and then guide each and every channel what should be the right content strategy around it. The third example I would like to give is on the unstructured data. If you take social media adverse events, they have to be reported. If you bring it everything in-house, it goes through a lot of compliance process. But in case if you outsource it and bring only the insights out of it within your environment, that make it much more simpler for us. So I would say that there are plus and minus on both the side, but hybrid approach is always work best.
Thanks a lot, Gunjan. And Giacomo from us.
I also agree. I think it's we live in a world of hyper specialization, and I think it's how it is today, nowadays. So I think it's very good that companies are upskilling, pharma companies are upskilling their managers to be able to speak the language and understand the language of technology, because the vision still has to be set by the pharma companies themselves. Some big consultants can come and say and help to set the frame vision, McKinsey and those other guys, but then the real owners of the processes should be the pharma guys. In terms of execution, however, I think it could be challenging. The workplace is a scarce market. I mean, the resources are very scarce, as Kinshuk was saying before. It's hard to get talent, which is both tech savvy and pharma knowledgeable. These are very, very rare to find. So I think I also agree that it's sensible to work in a hybrid way where the vision is set in an internal way, and then there is some external vendor help on some very vertical, specialized, leading edge technologies and services that can probably be allowed to achieve the goals much more faster.
Thanks a lot. Giacomo, just from my curiosity, do you see any other applications of NLP that we have not considered today? Or
there are, and actually I think one, it's almost breakthrough, I would say, because one idea that we had, and we are introducing now a new solution in the market, is that NLP allows pharma life science companies to almost unlock a new channel to engage customers. And we are introducing today, actually, in partnership with you, Dario, as you said, a new service. I don't know if you want to share the slide, that it's here. So we are introducing this Summit service, which is enabling to extract highlights and summaries from videos, audios, and text. And this is all natural language technology, processing technology powered. What is it? Who are we thinking of this service for? We are thinking of these for HCPs to share with them short and relevant content. Instead of the idea is very simple. Instead of having a 30-minute video, you get a one-page summary with all the highlights of that video. So imagine you want to see a TED talk, or you're an executive that has very little time to view a session. Well, get that one page, see if that's interesting for you, and then based on where you find something interesting, you can go and look into the video for more details. Doctors, there's a lot of video content available nowadays online and on our partners on the pharma websites. This could be a solution that helps them summarize those content in a way that is relevant and insightful for doctor and more fruable, I would say, more easily fruable. MSLs also, this could be from a medical perspective, a way to summarize. Very often the documents shared by the medical are very, very long and very detailed. Well, executive summaries generated by the machine learning could help in speeding up the initial discussions. And then, of course, when things go more into the detail, more details can be provided. So we are introducing this solution now. We have already run the engine for Summit on all of the past conference sessions. So if you go on the website summit.ai, you see the link in the slide. You will see what the output of the service of the solution looks like. We have taken the past conferences, so all the videos of the past Next Normal conferences in March, and applied Summit algorithms to those, and you can see the outputs and download the outputs from there and take a look to see if you like it. So I think this is it.
Thanks, Giacomo. So today we have a real world premiere, right, here at Next.
Yes, exactly. This is the official launch.
Great. Giacomo, Kinshuk, do you see any other tools? Sorry, Gunjan and Kinshuk, do you see any other tools which are emerging when you speak about NLP or content tagging?
So what I'm seeing right now on the screen, this is definitely an untapped area. We don't usually get this type of data, and this is very powerful. So I agree, if we can crack this to the NLP and bring it in-house and marry it with the other content, it will give a really true picture of our customer content affinity.
Thanks a lot. So in the long-term perspective, omnichannel gets even bigger and wider with some new channels.
Yes.
Okay, Kinshuk?
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I think what's critical is right now the process of sending folks over to conferences and then waiting for them to give insights, and then waiting for those insights to trickle down to the right people, and then incorporating sort of those insights into actions. That's a long process and a long iteration. And what this a product like this would do is really shorten the time frame, and that's what we've been talking about in almost a major part of the conference, right? Like getting real-time insights. And I think this is what this sort of technology would enable it. And I think it's very critical in that sense. Thanks
a lot. Giacomo, anything to add?
Besides the summaries that are available for download, those that we are also providing the tags for each video. So it's there. We are ready to put videos into the automation part of the next best action and the content engagement for customers. PDF is one output, but the output could be given, in a portal or through APIs for the internalization of this additional data source or this additional channel. So reach out to us for more information.
Fantastic. So thanks a lot, Gunjan, Kinshuk, Giacomo. Was a great discussion today. If you have any questions to our speakers, feel free to connect with them. Thank you so much once again, and looking to the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bye-bye.